Galaxy Universal Network, inspiring Africa, making global impact.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year and welcome to Galaxy Universal Network, very first show of 2021. I am Karula Mukansi. I'm not alone. I am with one of Galaxy's formidable women, Masichaba Kobola.
And Happy New Year indeed. 2020 was a very difficult year for the whole world, and we as a channel have been bringing you all the news from all four corners. Lalela, my name is Masichaba Kobola, and this year we will still be keeping to our vow, which is to bring you news and entertainment with no fear and zero favor, right, Karula?
Of course, absolutely, Masichaba, and all that because the world of news does not stop, and we will not stop either. So we'll join in the conversation on our social media sites, Galaxy Universal Network on Facebook and at Guns_TV on Twitter and Instagram, and let us know how your 2021 was, and even tell us your plans for 2021. Today's show will be an amazing one, and with that, let us get in our first bulletin of the year.
And before we go to our headlines, do stay tuned, because later on we will be engaging with Dr. Mogoni, who will be talking to us about the babies that came with the new year. So do not miss out. But for now, let's just take a look at the headlines of today. So in our first headline, we've got President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered a New Year's message and EFF to contribute to COVID-19 solidarity. And the last one is Police Minister continued with safer festive season tour. So Gurula, please take us through our first story.
And now we start off by taking a look at President Cyril Ramaphosa as he delivered a New Year's message to South Africans, where he said that even though the country has been going through the COVID-19 pandemic, it had brought pain, but it also had brought South African citizens together. Now the president also said that leaders of the African Union came together to develop a common response to this pandemic and found innovative ways to ensure that all countries in the African continent have access to essential medical supplies.
There is no corner of the earth, nor any part of our country, that has not been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. It has devastated lives and destroyed livelihoods. It has also caused great pain and left many people hungry and destitute. At the same time, it has brought our people together like never before. The pandemic has demonstrated our people's great capacity for cooperation, for solidarity, and shared endeavor. Globally, the countries of the world have worked together to share information and also share resources. Our continent, under the leadership of the African Union, came together to develop a common response to this pandemic and found an innovative way to ensure all countries on our continent have access to essential medical supplies. We have gone out to the rest of the world to advocate for debt relief and mobilize funds for Africa's coronavirus response and for its economic recovery. In the face of this unprecedented crisis, South Africans have demonstrated the true meaning of Ubuntu. We've taken responsibility for each other's welfare by donating our time, our energies, and our resources. Working together, we have mobilized the nation's resources under difficult conditions and in a very short space of time to support poor families, protect jobs, and keep businesses afloat. It has been a year of uncertainty, but it has also been a year of great pain, worry, and loss. Many people have been called upon to make huge sacrifices. Many have been worried for their jobs. Many have struggled to make a living. Nearly all South Africans have had to spend time separated from their loved ones. As this year draws to a close, we mourn the loss of relatives, friends, colleagues, and neighbors who succumbed to COVID-19. As a nation, we mourn the loss of several eminent South Africans and people from all walks of life. Even as we were struck by coronavirus, we had to confront another pandemic that has long plagued our nation. We mourn the many women and children who lost their lives at the hands of men. We think of the many more who have had to endure rape and beatings, abusive relationships, and sexual harassment. We think of the many children that have been injured and traumatized by adults, the very people who are responsible for their well-being and safety. And yet, in the face of both these pandemics, South Africans have remained resolute, determined to overcome the coronavirus, and determined to end gender-based violence. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to every South African for the courage and the perseverance with which you have confronted this crisis. I want to thank the health and social services workers for taking care of people who are ill, hungry, or lonely. Even as the year draws to an end, in hospitals and other health facilities across the nation, committed health workers are caring for the sick in the face of a severe resurgence of infections. Throughout the year, they have worked tirelessly and at great risk to themselves to care for us and to protect us. We have a duty to protect them from harm and fatigue by acting responsibly, by ensuring that we do not become the infected and that we do not infect others. I also want to thank the men and women in our law enforcement agencies and our defense force who are keeping us safe from crime, violence, and harm. In the many ways that COVID-19 affected our lives this past year, one of the most challenging was the disruption caused to learning and teaching in our schools, colleges, and universities. The pandemic threatened the educational development of an entire generation of South Africans. It is therefore with great admiration and much respect that I salute the learners and the students of 2020 for having continued with their studies under such difficult conditions. In some instances, they've had to continue the academic year into 2021. I want to thank the educators, the lecturers, administrators, and school governing bodies for having worked so hard to save the academic year and to ensure that the young people of our country progress and succeed. We are grateful to the country's religious leaders and traditional leaders for having suspended or limited many of their activities during this pandemic period. We are grateful to our sports people and administration, to our artists and performers, and all those who have been unable to continue their trade to prevent the spread of the disease. We say thank you. I also want to thank all members of Parliament, members of provincial legislatures, local government councils, and all public servants for having remained at their posts even at the most difficult moments of the pandemic, and for having continued throughout to serve the nation. I also want to thank the journalists, people who have made us more aware of this pandemic, who have spread the information. We thank you for your tireless work. We enter a new year ready to rebuild our economy, to revive businesses, and to restore jobs, and to continue our drive for new investment. Working together in partnership, we are undertaking an ambitious recovery plan to build new roads and water projects, human settlements, and power generation plants. We've made important progress in vital economic reforms to ensure we have a secure supply of affordable energy, that we have cheaper, faster, and more accessible broadband connectivity, and that our ports and railways are more efficient and more competitive. We are creating public employment opportunities that contribute to the betterment of people's lives and providing greater support to the small businesses that drive growth and create jobs for our people. We are accelerating the redistribution of land and improving the support provided to beneficiaries. Through this work, we are transforming our economy, enabling more Black people, women, and young people to participate in and benefit from activities from which they had previously been excluded. Due to the disruption caused by the pandemic, we have had to learn to work, to learn, to trade, and to socialize in new and different ways. We have harnessed technology as never before to keep our economy working, and we need to use the great advances we've made to shape a new world of work that is more productive, more efficient, and more focused on the needs of our people. We're just a few hours away from the birth of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which will fundamentally change the economic fortunes of our continent. It is the start of a new era of trade between African countries, when the continent will produce the goods and services it needs, when its economies will grow, economies will industrialize and also diversify, when it will realize the great potential of its abundant natural and human resources. I call on the entrepreneurs of our nation to seize the abundant opportunities that this historic development will present to explore new markets and build new partnerships and new businesses. This is an opportunity to empower the women of Africa through special trade arrangements, through financial inclusion, and also preferential access to government and private sector procurement processes. South Africa's chairship of the African Union is now coming to an end, just as we also end our term as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Through these important bodies, we have championed the cause of peace and development, not only in Africa but across the world. We have worked to strengthen the multilateral institutions that are so necessary for global cooperation and for the sustainable development of all nations. The year ahead will be challenging and difficult. We are in the midst of a second wave of coronavirus infections, which may even be much worse than the first wave. And while we are greatly encouraged by the progress made in developing an effective vaccine, we know that it will be some time before the pandemic ends. The year ahead will therefore require our greatest effort, as well as resilience. The past year has shown that we are capable of, when we are united and when we work together for the good of all. It is this spirit that will carry us into the new year and which will enable us to prevail but also to prosper. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish every South African a happy and a healthy 2021. Nkosi sikelela i-Afrika. God bless South Africa.
And with that being said, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize also gave South African citizens a New Year's message. Let's take a look.
Fellow South Africans, we would like you to enjoy a very safe and responsible New Year's Eve. We have a curfew, let's remember, to avoid being in large crowded areas with poor ventilation. During the New Year's Eve, we need to be indoors and avoid milling out in the streets, because those are the super spreader events that have got a risk of spreading the infection. Let's enjoy our New Year's Eve indoors, within our homes, without having to spread the infection to all the others out there in the streets.
And in our next story, you also take a look at a New Year's message from the Democratic Alliance, which was addressed by the DA leader, John Steenhuisen. Steenhuisen said that as we usher in the new year, they hope that South Africa will leave behind the losses and hardship endured in 2020 and look forward to the bright and prosperous future that the country so deserves.
Hi everyone, John Steenhuisen here from the Democratic Alliance. On behalf of myself and the DA, I want to wish you all a very happy new year. May 2021 bring you prosperity, peace and health. And may this year be one in which we restore the promise of hope and meaningful change in South Africa. Wherever you are, please celebrate safely and responsibly. Be mindful of social distancing, mask wearing and sanitizing, and ensure that all the protocols are followed. Please ensure you don't drink and drive, and let's do what we can to keep our country and our citizens safe. As we usher in the new year, I hope that South Africa will leave behind the losses and hardship we've endured in 2020 and look forward to the bright and prosperous future that our country so deserves. And so, from our DA family to you, we wish you a very happy, hopeful, and healthy 2021. God bless you and stay safe.
And the Western Cape Premier Alan Winde gave out a New Year's message saying that he wishes everyone a safe and a happy new year, and that after the difficult year we have experienced, may 2021 be a more prosperous year for all residents.
Hi, this is Alan Winde, Premier of the Western Cape. This has been an unbelievably difficult year for every single person on the planet, but also in our province. We have really gone through something that has been absolutely unparalleled. But if I reflect on this year, what really stands out for me, above the difficulty, above the loss, above the pain, what stands out for me are two things. One is the humanity, the humanness of our citizens. Those people that just stood up and made sure that we got through this. Those people that were in the streets making sure that people were being fed. A lady just taking charge of her own street and making sure that no one went hungry. Those NGOs, and I think about obviously all of those frontline workers, be they in health, be they in education, be they in law enforcement. I think about our own officials in our government and the unbelievable things that they did in making sure that we stand up to make a difference. I also think of innovation and the innovation that came out in these difficult times, like delivering medicines to citizens' homes, like red dot taxi systems in getting out nurses to hospital during curfew times and safely. All of those amazing things that happened during this year. So it's humanity and it is innovation. Going forward, New Year, please make sure that we celebrate it in a small way, just in our family bubbles, in our small units. This is no time for big celebrations. No time to have parties to say goodbye to the year. We've got to make sure that we do it small. We've got to make sure that we stick to the knitting. We've got to make sure we wear our masks, social distancing as we move into the new year. We've still got to keep on going. And so we want to say goodbye to this year. We want to remember those great things of humanity and those great innovations. And we want to take that forward into the new year. But please make sure that even as we go into the new year, while we wait for vaccines and we wait for the flattening of the curve, we continue to do the right thing. Let's keep our humanness. Let's make sure that we keep our citizens in our minds. Let's make sure that we keep our frontline workers front and center as we get through this virus. We've got 14 days into the new year. It doesn't start on the 1st. We've got to make sure that we carry through into the new year. Use the opportunity of these next 14 days to flatten this curve, give our frontline workers the reprieve they need. And so we will start the new year in exactly the right way to make sure that we make this new year a way better year than last.
And now moving on to our next story, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize and KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala, together with the KZN Health MEC Nomagugu Simelane Zulu, led a candle lighting ceremony at King Edward Hospital in Durban. This was done in memory of those who have lost their lives, in tribute to those on the front line who are working tirelessly to protect us from harm, in appreciation of the greatest sacrifices that have been made this past year. It was said that while this time is different, it was time to take a moment to appreciate life and good health. Good health is the greatest gift that is tend to overlook. Love, career, ambition, and future plans are hard to enjoy or accomplish without good health.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, you said in your word, let there be light. And there was light, and darkness subsided. As we do this, oh God, we remember the power of your creative plan. As we light these candles, we declare in the spiritual realm, we exercise and invoke the power of creating over a chaotic situation. We are creating light for our communities. We are creating light for our country. We are creating light for our province. We even know that your word declares that Jesus is the light of the world, and whosoever follows him shall not walk in darkness but shall have the light of life. We thank you, Father, that we know that in history and in its nature, light triumphs over darkness. Bring light, oh God, over our families. Bring light, oh God, over our health facilities. Bring light, oh Father, in the corridors of power in our country, to your glory. In Jesus' name, somebody say amen.
And moving on into our next story, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula was at Cape Town International Airport, where they shared their plans to respond to level 3 of government's adjusted approach regards to travel. Airports have responded well and placed measures in place to detect and protect people from the COVID-19. The minister said international travelers will now uncheck in themselves through the boarding gates without the manual need to go through Home Affairs official. He also said operating licenses, accreditation certificates for tourist services. He said that all those that have expired between 26th March 2020 up to 31st December 2020 and up to 28th February 2020 in respect of operating licenses will be deemed valid up to and including 31st August 2021. Tour around the airport to show how they're adhering to the regulations given to them to ensure safety for all their customers.
And as I said, we're actually recording it. We've got a record, and we make sure that everybody is tracked as they go through. And it's just so much easier that people can just keep walking as well, which is quite nice. So the processing time is much quicker through the doors as well. Not like before. We have people that to stop and then fill in and all of those things. Absolutely. So, and the passengers love it. It's much easier. And I think what also helps me is that, you know, we
see the whole and then their information appears here. And then I take their temperature.
Can you take this man's temperature? Enter your passport. First gate will open. And you go in. It will check that it's only you to make sure that no one has come through with you. This gate closes. You present your fingerprints on your second gate. The second gate opens and you go through. So it's quick, easy, a couple of seconds, and you'll be through immigration. We've got this at departures, and we've got 6 gates installed at arrivals as well.
From what date?
So by the end of January, we are interfacing with Home Affairs.
And now we will be taking a short break, but do stay with us because when we come back, we will be engaging with Dr. Mokone. Don't go anywhere.
Make massive moves.
So from the theater stage to the kitchen.
I'm anxiously awaiting to see Sanaya.
What else is this if not love?
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started. Russia had got the first object into space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teams are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they've got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Isn't that your daughter's bib? But the truth is, I feel like Arabella's always with me.
Don't you ever forget this man's face. He killed your brother.
Don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
I feel confident. I feel like I can take on the world.
So you're telling a story through your clothes.
Such a professional, you wouldn't even know.
Criticism is one of my biggest motivations.
Darling, you want to be a model? Like, oh my God.
I'm glistening.
The fashion industry needs people with beautiful faces.
I would pay thousands of dollars for that love.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
I want you to eat healthy food because it's delicious.
Make massive moves.
Would you like another one?
I love it.
I love this soup. This is amazing. The grits are so creamy. Oh.
I take pride in my grits.
So flavorful.
I think that looks wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Wow.
Let's go. Come on, we can be back by morning.
Who are you?
I'm the boss.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Awesome. Totally. Yeehaw. Very funny.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
Welcome back, and we are still celebrating the first day of the new year of 2021. And now, as I've said, that we are actually joined now by Dr. Nice Mokone, who is from Sebokeng Hospital. Now, thank you, Dr. Nice Mokone, for joining us at Galaxy Universal Network, and Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, hello?
Dr. Mokone, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you so much for joining us at Galaxy Universal Network, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too. Thank you.
And now we are going to ask, are you coping with babies that are being born, especially at the maternity ward?
I think the biggest challenge, okay, I do work in the hospital here in Sebokeng. That is our regional hospital. I do not have the rights to speak for the hospital. So all that I will do is to give you my general, observation and perception. Because it's a festive season, we have a number of challenges where most of the staff would usually apply for annual leave around this time in order to be able to spend time with their families. That leaves the hospital with a skeleton of, healthcare workers, which reduces our capacity to look after the numbers that demands the service. On the other hand, the issues of COVID and the likes also imposes further pressure on the institution. But the biggest issue would have been our injuries on the roads and trauma-related cases that would come to the hospital. Yes, thanks to the idea of the stage 3 lockdown, where alcohol is not available, which is our biggest contributor to our trauma and the pressure on the hospitals. Yes, the babies that are born, we will manage and we will cope, hopefully, because then the pressure is not that much. But all in all, a lot of staff had fallen sick to COVID, so some people are still not able to function at their best during this time.
So how has your experience been as a doctor in 2020?
Experience in as far as the workload is concerned, or what exactly are you trying to find out with the question?
Yes, like when you were working, how has your experience been in 2020, more especially because we also we were going through a pandemic?
My, I think I'm beginning to hear you patchy. But I will try to respond to that by saying that the experience, there's always that tension, there's always that fear, there's always that concern that every patient that comes might be knowingly or unknowingly have contracted COVID. And then this exposes everybody that is going to handle the patient. Yes, the use of PPEs help, but there is nothing that is 100% safe that we can say this will prevent this from happening. We can only use those recommended measures to try and minimize the risk.
And how do you think this year is going to be in terms of your work? Do you think things will be better this year than last year, or do you think things are going to be worse?
We can only hope, we cannot be pessimists. We must believe that things will get better. Things have, mankind has been challenged by a number of things in the past, and things have gotten worse only to get better again. So we believe things will get better, provided that we do our part and do it well.
And since today is the 1st of January 2021, what is your estimation on babies that are being born today? Do you think, like what is your estimation?
Well, I think I can give you the statistics from last year that the Gauteng as a province had about 200 deaths on New Year's Day, just over 200 deaths. So we would expect a similar trend, or maybe an increase, or even a reduction. But we should really be playing around the 200 mark for the entire province. Now, with the Chris Hani Baragwanath being our biggest center, our referral center, where everybody, when they have a problem, would invariably send their patients there. Those are the people that tend to pick up a lot of excess weight, and we don't know what their capacity is like. But the capacity will never be adequate because a lot of people would be on leave, and a lot of people have opted to work in the private sector and not in the public sector. For reasons that are best known by yes.
Now, as a doctor, what advice would you give to South African citizens for 2021?
Well, my advice would just to echo what the minister and the president has said, in the sense that we would say, people must observe the social distancing, people must refrain from gathering in big groups, people must refrain from getting inebriated with alcohol, and people should learn to take control of their lives.
Oh, well, now South Africa is really proud to have people like you who are sacrificing your holidays just to help our people. And we thank you for giving us your time today, as it is the first day of 2021. Thank you so much for being with us on Galaxy Universal Network.
Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to talk to your viewers. Thank you very much indeed, and we hope 2021 will be best for all, South Africa and the entire world.
Oh, well, now that was Dr. Nice. Dr. Nice, who was with us from Sebokeng Hospital, who was also giving us updates, and also who was telling us about his experience as a doctor in 2020. And now we are actually going to go for a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Make massive moves.
So from the theater stage to the kitchen. I'm anxiously awaiting to see Sanaya.
What else is this if not love?
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started. Russia had got the first object into space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teens are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Isn't that your daughter's bib? But the truth is, I feel like Arabella's always with me.
Don't you ever forget this man's face. He killed your brother.
Don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
I feel confident. I feel like I can take on the world.
You're telling a story through your clothes.
Such a professional, you wouldn't even know.
Criticism is one of my biggest motivations.
Darling, you want to be a model? Like, oh my God.
I'm glistening.
The fashion industry needs people with beautiful faces.
I would pay thousands of dollars for that love.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
I want you to eat healthy food because it's delicious.
Make massive moves.
Would you like another one?
I love it.
I love this soup.
This is amazing. The grits are so creamy. Oh.
I take pride in my grits.
So flavorful.
I think that looks wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
And welcome back from that short ad break. If you just tuned in, you just missed an interview that we had with Dr. Nice Mogoni, a doctor who was actually telling us about the bets that they would be expecting and the pressure that they experience. You're still watching Money Express, the New Year's special with myself, Master Chabakobola and Kuhula Mkasi. Without wasting any more time, at the early stages of lockdown, the Economic Freedom Fighters have announced that its public representatives will contribute to the COVID-19 Solidarity Fund. The EFF leader Julius Malema said that the party contributed 15 million rand, almost double the payroll contribution by the second biggest contributor, which is the government. Take a look at that.
All public representatives have committed a third of our monthly salaries to fight against coronavirus. What this means is that for 3 months, the EFF councillors, members of provincial legislature, and members of parliament will have contributed millions into the fight against coronavirus. So while councillors from other political parties, MPLs and MPs are stealing food parcels from poor people and are arrested for drinking and driving, violations of the lockdown regulations by driving with alcohol in their cars, we in the EFF are sacrificing our salaries so that we can defeat.
And now moving on to the next story. Minister of Police Bheki Cele and South African Police Service top management continued with nationwide tour to inspect festive season operations and compliance to amended regulations alert level 3. On the last leg of the Safer Festive Season inspection tour in Durban in KwaZulu-Natal, Minister Bheki Cele said he has received a message of appreciation for the role of the police from the country's doctors.
Since the alcohol has been banned, they are getting the space to breathe in hospitals. Since the banning or prohibition of alcohol, they say we are looking at less blood and we are given an opportunity to deal with the matter in hand, which is COVID. They say, please tell the police to continue to enforce the regulation. We love them. This is a group of young doctors that sent the message to me this morning.
Now, KZN South African Police Service were given directives by the police minister as the country heated up for New Year's Eve under adjusted lockdown level 3.
This is the call we made. But you go there, be all over, make sure that you are part of the visibility, make sure that you are part of the protection of good South Africans, and make sure that you are part of squeezing the space and don't give much space or don't give space at all to the criminal. Criminals must know that they are not part of us and you must be hard on them when you deal with them. Yourselves, take care of yourself, behave, stay within the law. We are sure that this last day will go with the bad year, and we hope and we pray and we call on you to say, let the next year start and be part of the brighter and the part of the better future than what we have had this year. May God of Africa, may God of all of us look after us, make us safe, and the very same God can be very angry against criminals and against those that don't keep this.
Minister Cele spoke out about comments he made on Wednesday instructing people to be asleep at 9 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
Up to this point, I've received a lot of flack that I said people must go and sleep at 9. Even my colleagues, they say, no, can't happen. All right, 9 o'clock, people must be in the house. They must be within their premises. in-house, but nobody will fight them for sleeping at night. That's the problem. But remember, the president has made a request that we join him to lead the candidate at 12. Let's invite more South Africans to do that. And let's discourage South Africans to go with cricket and all those kind of things. Actually, somebody from the hospital sent the message to say this smoke is really not good for the people that are suffering from COVID-19. So if we can just get dissuaded and stop the thing, it will help, and join the president.
And now we'll also take a look at the police minister as he was getting tested for COVID-19 during his inspection visit in KwaZulu-Natal.
Up to this point, I've received a lot of flack that I said people must go and sleep at night. Even my colleagues, they say, no, can't happen. All right, 9 o'clock, people must be in-house. They must be within their premises in-house. But nobody will fight them for sleeping at night. That's the problem. But remember, the president has made a request that we join him to lead the candidate at 12. Let's invite more South Africans.
And before I actually move on to our next story, like Begit said, you must sleep at 9. Did you sleep at 9?
Girl, we are on air, but anyways, no.
Right, moving on to our next story. The spokesperson of the City of Johannesburg Emergency Management Service, Robert Mulaudzi, has given the fireworks law enforcement operations and the illegal selling of fireworks.
For social development, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be going into different extensions of Eldorado Park. Yes. We have received several complaints saying that people are not adhering to bylaws of firecrackers. Yes. So we will then do awareness and then also check the sellers of firecrackers if whether they comply or they have certificates to sell those firecrackers. In event where we found that the seller doesn't have any authority to sell those firecrackers, we are with the unit from JMPD, BMU, then we will confiscate those firecrackers and destroy them. And then, but we also have PIER, which is an education wing of EMS, who will be then giving education and educating people around the usage of the firecrackers. Thank you very much.
And we now take a look at fireworks law enforcement operations in Eldorado Park. Just take a look at them.
And we are even very scared that it's going to be a bigger problem now that there's lockdown. From 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning, we all have to be in our homes. But we got the information from outside, because we are always on the ground, that people are still going to celebrate New Year the way they celebrate it. People are still going to be buying the firecrackers. And we're also worried because the house shops, I wouldn't just want to say the foreign house shops, but the house shops are selling crackers to kids, and it even comes in a combo with the matches. So it's crackers and matches that they sell to them. And we are scared because on Tuesday night we had a situation where we had to rush a grandmother to hospital. She almost had a heart attack. People are scared for their dogs. Children just throw it anywhere. A week ago I had to stop a child that threw a bomb in between people, broad daylight. So this is what we want to stop. We are very scared for this second wave of corona, and we believe that if we do this now, the bylaws needs to be enforced, and thus we are today with EMS, because they are the custodians of the bylaws of the city, so that they can assist us so that we don't have problems during this New Year's Eve.
What will be your message to all the residents of the city of Johannesburg in general?
My message to everybody in the city of Johannesburg is stay safe. Wear your masks when you're outside in public. Sanitize, social distance, so that we do not carry this thing further. We have seen this is for real. We have seen that it's killing people. You know, the first wave was not fine, but at least people recovered.
Yeah.
Every time you hear someone goes into hospital or someone tells you he's got the corona, the person dies. Tomorrow we have to say condolences to the family. And we think that we need to not have this for the new year coming. We want to ensure that our people are safe. So our lives are in our own hands.
Yes.
It's in your hands. Wear your mask, sanitize, social distance. Don't go to big events.
Yes.
You know, even church.
That was, let's take a quick break rather, and when we come back we've got more African stories for you. We will be right back right now.
Make massive moves.
So from the theater stage to the kitchen.
I'm anxiously awaiting to see Sanaya.
What else is this if not love?
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started. Russia had got the first object into space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teens are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Isn't that your daughter's bib? But the truth is, I feel like Arabella's always with me.
Don't you ever forget this man's face. He killed your brother.
Don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Make massive moves with Starsat.
Now, welcome back, and thank you for if you are still tuning in with us, as it is still the first day of 2020 now. And now we are going to go into some African news. And now the first story: the United Nations African Union mission in Darfur is set to end 13 years of peacekeeping in the vast Sudanese region on Thursday, even as recent violent clashes leave residents fearful of new conflict. Now, fighting erupted in Darfur in 2003 when ethnic minority rebels rose up against the Arab-dominated government in Khartoum, which responded by recruiting and arming notorious Arab-dominated military known as the Janjaweed. A total of 300,000 people were killed and 2.5 million displaced, according to the United Nations.
A joint United Nations and African Union peacekeeping mission in Sudan's Darfur region ended on Thursday after more than 13 years of operation. A Security Council vote last week ordered the mission to terminate.
There is a timetable, there is a schedule about the departure of different, the troops. The civilian will have not much work to do.
But there are fears that civilians will be left vulnerable. Darfurians also want figures implicated in war crimes to be prosecuted. We need security to guarantee our livelihoods, and the international community should provide it. We also want Omar al-Bashir and the 52 others who committed crimes of genocide and ethnic cleansing to face trial before the International Criminal Court, the disarming of the Janjaweed, compensations, the expulsion of settlers from our villages, and rebuilding what the war destroyed. The mission was deployed in 2007 to end a bitter conflict that erupted in 2003 between government forces and rebel groups.
And moving on to our next story, vaccinations against COVID-19 with the Russian-produced vaccine on an experimental basis began on Wednesday at a center in Conakry, Guinea. Government officials were the first to receive the Sputnik V vaccine at a vaccination center in Conakry. Moscow announced the registration of Sputnik V back in August after it had completed just the second phase of trials on under 100 volunteers, raising concerns from scientists among the international community. The National Agency for Health Safety also communicated that the country will assess whether to extend the vaccinations to other regions after the pilot phase. Guinea reports almost 13,722 COVID-19 cases, with around just as many recoveries at 13,141 and 80 deaths.
Vaccinations against COVID-19 with a Russian-produced vaccine on an experimental basis began on Wednesday at a center in Conakry, Guinea. Moscow announced the registration of Sputnik back in August. We have ordered 2 million doses from Russia to be able to vaccinate vulnerable people, and we have also placed orders in the People's Republic of China. All that in order to show the commitment of the government to go onto the offensive to use this latest strategy that served us well during the Ebola outbreak. The country will assess whether to extend the vaccinations to other regions after the pilot phase. Guinea reports almost 14,000 COVID-19 cases, with around as many recoveries and 80 deaths.
And now moving on to the next story. For Rwandan Jibril, wounded in a bastion of Libya's 2011 revolution, losing his leg became inevitable, and he had a prosthetic replacement, but thousands of other amputees are still waiting. And an orthopedic center is finally scheduled to open in March to provide prostheses to amputees in the northern African country riven by conflict for past decade. Jibril, like so many others, was hit by a shrapnel in his western hometown of Misrata, which endured a devastating siege during the revolt that brought down longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi. With the support of family, he has opened a fishmonger's where he serves customers as best as he can with this foreign body. His prosthesis, however, is starting to wear out, and with hundreds, if not thousands, waiting their turn, it won't be easy to have it serviced.
Hope at last for war victims in Libya. Thousands of Libyans lost legs and arms during the wars that ravaged the North African country. Some have had prosthetic replacement, but thousands of others amputees are still waiting. An orthopedic center is finally scheduled to open in March to provide prostheses to amputees. I used to be a psychotherapist, and when the February 17th revolution began, I started working in a physiotherapy center, where I met a group of amputees. There, I became interested in learning how prosthetic limbs function. Radwan Jibril, wounded in a bastion of Libya's 2011 revolution, losing his leg became inevitable. He has battled out the pain from the prosthetic replacement and now operates on business. Honestly, it was a difficult experience, but over time I got used to the prosthesis, and the important thing is to compensate. I have got so used.
And in our next story, the National Democratic Congress has petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn the result of Ghana's presidential election, saying incumbent Akufo-Addo's win was illegal. The case would be a catalyst for future polls. Ghana's relatively peaceful election on December 7th saw incumbent Nana Akufo-Addo of the New Patriotic Party declared the winner with 51.59% of the vote, ahead of his main challenger, former President John Mahama of the opposition National Democratic Congress, who received 47.37%. While defeated candidates normally concede in Ghana, Mahama on Wednesday petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn the results.
Supporters of the National Democratic Congress (NDC) held demonstrations across Ghana on Sunday, calling for the results of the December 7 votes to be overturned. Dressed in red, they sang their party's slogans while police kept an eye on them. Ghana's Election Commission declared President Nana Akufo-Addo winner with nearly 52% of the vote, but the result was rejected by the loser, John Mahama. The march was mostly peaceful, but some young men burned car tires.
And now we are going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Make massive moves.
So from the theater stage to the kitchen.
I'm anxiously awaiting to see Sanaya.
What else is this if not love?
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started.
Russia had got the first object into space. The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teens are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Isn't that your daughter's bib? But the truth is, I feel like Arabella's always with me.
Don't you ever forget this man's face. He killed your brother.
Don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
I feel confident. I feel like I can take on the world.
You're telling a story through your clothes.
Such a professional, you wouldn't even know.
Criticism is one of my biggest motivations.
Darling, you want to be a model?
Like, oh my God.
I'm glistening.
The fashion industry needs people with beautiful faces. I would pay thousands of dollars for that look.
Make massive moves with Starsat.
I want you to eat healthy food because it's delicious.
Make massive moves.
Would you like another one?
I love it.
I love this soup. This is amazing. The grits are so creamy. Oh,
I take pride in my grits.
so flavorful.
I think that looks wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so incredible.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
Wow.
Let's go. Come on, we can be back by morning.
Who are you?
I'm the boss.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Awesome. Totally. Yeehaw. Very funny.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
You're the best fighter in China.
Give me the Emperor's sword, and I'll spare your life.
Shisha sector's gone too far.
Make massive moves with Starsat. Make massive moves.
How can you say that?
That is what it is.
Your mother eloped with someone else.
I just think this is such a genius idea. I think it's amazing.
I can be happy. It's inside you. It's inside of all of us.
It's about cooking smart that are nutritious and delicious.
President Trump acknowledging the coronavirus death toll could be significantly higher.
You don't want to do this.
There is nothing you can take.
And welcome back from the short ad break. You're still watching Morning Spirits, the New Year's special edition with myself, Masa Chabakobola. And to bring you something a bit fun, we are joined in studio by Jane Nunes, who is a music producer and an artist. Happy New Year to you. And thank you for joining us here at Galaxy Universal Network. So, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
First, I'm going to go straight into our questions since we don't have enough time. So, how has COVID-19 affected your career? To start there.
It has affected my career so bad because there's no shows. The artists now, they don't come anymore because we have to stay isolated,
yes.
you know. So it's difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, and do you think that the lockdown regulations have been very unfair to musicians and producers like you?
Yeah, a lot. They've been so tough, you know. But we kind of like make it work as a producer. Kind of like make it work and we send through emails. We work through emails and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most musicians don't have jobs and rely on their music to get bread at home. So how do you think they have been coping in getting things done, getting things running and getting food on their table?
Yeah, by streaming the songs, we get money from the royalties, and also me as a producer, I sell beats to artists, and they pay me for that. So yeah.
I'm guessing also people who would like to do voiceovers, they get to pay for that by coming to studio and booking studio.
Yes, but it's limited because lockdown.
Of COVID, yes. You can't be accepting people from outside.
Yes.
All right. There was a strike during 2020 where musicians were striking to have events and all. So do you think that was the right thing to do, like just to cancel everything and not consider the fact that who are musicians, who are artists and who are in the media industry, and that would mean stopping them from going to work?
Yeah, first things first, the president said we shouldn't have events and because of our health, you know. And we have to understand that as musicians, and we have to, we just have to understand that and just what's the right way for it?
So do you think it would be a good advice to tell other youngsters out there who want to be in the media industry that have backup, have a second option, because the media industry is not predictable. It's like a soccer career.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back to you as a music producer, how have you been working with other artists, especially adhering to the regulations?
How I've been working with other artists, I've been sending the instrumentals to the artists that I want to work with, and then they just record at their studios, and then they send me.
And then you compile everything.
Yes, and then mix and master everything, and then release.
We're in a digital world, indeed. So what are your plans for 2021? And do you think that this year things could be better?
I hope so.
We're all hoping, all crossing fingers.
But I know that things are going to be better, and we're going to, we're going to work.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your music. Have you released already? What can we even expect from you as well in the next, in fact, this year? Let me not say 5 years, this year. Are we expecting more music videos?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of music coming through, especially Amapiano and hip-hop. That's what I'm going to be focusing on, because it's the trend, especially Amapiano is the trend right now. So I'm going to be shooting music video and an album. I'm going to be working on an album,
So before I end this, what advice would you give to someone out there? Any advice, be it in music career, how to get through 2021?
Yeah, just keep on working and never give up, and just focus on the craft and just chase your dream.
All right, so what kind of genre are you into before I...
Hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
Yes.
So I'm hoping you're not like AKA Lidi Ototune, so kopa o raimele khanyane, because Ramutsiba AKA Li Studio. So can you just show us what we're going to see on the music video that we're about to play is not fake? Please just look at one of your cameras.
Okay, I think they'll just hear it from the music video.
So you're shy?
No, not really. I'm not really shy. I'm a producer, and I write.
Okay.
Yes.
So producing is more of your strength than being an artist.
Yes.
All right, Liku Kleti. Jay Nunes is not willing to show us his talent, but on the music video. So now we're going to be looking at your music video of your song Rustenburg. So, in fact, before I go there, tell us a bit about that. Why Rustenburg? Like Rusty Dusty? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah, that's where I am from. That's where I'm born. And I saw when I was growing up, people making a lot of mistakes. They, kill themselves. Some of them get pregnant, and some of them they always wake up and go to the taverns every day, and that really hurts. Seeing someone your age you grew up with going to a tavern every day.
All right, please summarize your 2020 and the things that you'd want to leave behind as we are today. Fresh.
I want to. Okay. There are a lot of things that I've been trying to, leave, like changing my lifestyle, drinking and stuff, and just work on the music. Yeah.
All right, that was Jay Nunes, who is a music producer and an artist. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and we wish you nothing but the best for the year. And so now, let's just take a look at his song, Rustenburg. Stay tuned.
I left my hometown, so I had to make the song. Not dissing anyone, but talking about things that are happening. Just listen to me.
Pull myself together, won't hit my head against the wall. We'll fight back together. We're strong, the storm is getting closer, but we will hold on.
Look, yeah. This goes out to my people in Rustenburg. I ain't dissing you, just wanna state facts. Not saying that I'm better, but I try not to be worse. No matter how hard I try, I'm still a mess. You don't wanna be the next victim of death, so avoid Percocets. There are a lot of taverns more than schools, and we crowd, no employment. Young girls desperate for money and in not falling pregnant. Late night things, you wake up not knowing what has happened. If this song was talking to you, I hope it bring you change. Change for your mom, change for the person who raised you so high. Change for the person who never doubted you the time you were born. When she talking to you, it doesn't mean she hates you. She just guiding you, showing you what's right or wrong. Never give up ever in your life, man. Cause this is your life, and you only live it once. So when you make choices, you gotta make right choices.
That was Jay Nunes. Do follow him with his song Rustenburg. Do you follow him on his social media accounts quickly?
It's Jay Nunes Beats on all social media platforms.
And Rustenburg is not the only song that he has. Please do check out all digital platforms. Just search Jay Nunes and you'll find his songs under the. Without wasting any more time, I think this is actually the end of our beautiful, beautiful show. I actually enjoyed this interview. I enjoyed the whole show with my co-host, Gugula Mkasi from us. We will definitely see you same time, same place next week. Adios from me.
Galaxy